Today I want to talk about the concept and strategy of coaching. In previous videos we've talked about employee engagement, and we looked at the productivity zone, which looks at character and competency and commitment. One of the strategies we have to help our employees be successful, to support them in their endeavor to be successful, is coaching. It's something that we encourage supervisors to do on a daily basis. We oftentimes think of coaching as some organizations put it in the bucket of discipline, that now they're involved in coaching, and that's fine. That's an appropriate use of it. We'd like to look at coaching as broader than that and more of an effort to help support their development and growth. Ara Parseghian, a former head coach of Notre Dame, said, "A good coach will make their players see what they can be rather than what they are." And I like that quote because it encourages us as supervisors, managers, and leaders to look beyond today when we look at our employees, to try to see where can they get to, what can they be, how far can they go, and then how do we encourage them and support them to achieve that what we would call success down the road like that. So why would we use coaching? Well, we mentioned one just a minute ago, discipline. All right, you have an employee who's just falling short of performance, is not hitting the mark. So we might engage in a coaching relationship with them. Maybe it's a new employee and we don't necessarily know what they can or can't do, or there's things that we need them to learn to do that you just don't know yet because they're new. Maybe it's an employee that's a superstar. They're really, really good and we want them to stay around. And so there's things that we'd like to encourage them to expand their knowledge, their experience, their skills in. Maybe there's other things that we have that we'd like to accomplish, new goals, other things that we'd like to implement, strategies in the organization. And so we'd like to find an employee that we can stretch them. And so we use coaching for a lot of different reasons. It's a great strategy. So let me talk a little bit about coaching. One of the interesting things about coaching is it's not necessarily a science, but an art. I often think of a science like mathematics, right? Mathematics, you have a formula and you plug the information in and Shazam, you have an answer, right? And as long as you put the right information in, you always get the right answer because it's a formula. Well, unfortunately, coaching isn't quite that easy and quite that simple. So we refer to coaching as more of an art, the art of improving the performance of others. Because we really have to look at every individual individually, right? And so that's what makes it an art. But we can give some ideas and thoughts about how we guide the coaching relationship. The idea is that supervisors who coach and encourage their teams to learn from and be challenged by the work, they're the ones that create conditions for continuous development. All right. So the idea is that as a supervisor, if you're a coaching supervisor, you create a culture and an environment for your team and your staff that encourages them to want to learn, to want to grow, which increases engagement, which increases commitment, increases dedication. Employees that feel like you're willing to invest in them, to help them to learn and grow, to see what they can be, it shows hopefulness and hope in them. These are the employees that generally embrace that and desire to give back, to strive harder, to be more committed to the organization. So, coaching from our perspective is simply the strategy of closing the gap between the present or current level of performance and the desired one. It's as simple as that, right? It's going from A to B. It's simply, how do we determine where an employee is, and then where do we want them to be? That's coaching. And then we figure out the strategies of how we get them to there. The interesting thing about coaching is we see coaching is not something we do to an employee, it's something we do with employees. It's a joint effort. We work together. And coaching is focused on the present and the future, not necessarily the past. We're not looking way back and trying to figure out what happened in life and where they came from, but simply looking at, so what are they doing and what do we need them to do? What have they been doing and what can we learn from that so we can move forward to help them go to the next step? So in future videos, we'll talk more about coaching as time goes on, and we can share steps about coaching. But the basic understanding is, are we a coaching supervisor, one that's willing to invest time and energy and effort into our employees to demonstrate that we have hope for them, that we're hopeful, that we're optimistic in their abilities, that we're being strengths oriented, that we see potential in them, and then we invest in them by trying to help them and us figure out where they at and where do we want them to be. So go be that coaching supervisor. Have a great day.